We're about to take a look at some of my favorite tools from Wera. Wera makes some of the most ridiculously high quality, innovative tools that I have found. Actually, I can't think of a single tool from Wera that I have that I've been unimpressed with. If you haven't connected with us on Instagram yet, you guys, there's a link in the description. Connect with us on Instagram, sub to the channel here on YouTube. That way we can keep bringing you guys awesome videos like this. So let's go ahead and hop into it. First and foremost, you can't talk about Wera unless you talk about their screwdrivers. They're my favorite screwdrivers ever, okay? I use them daily, I love them. They are extremely different than most screwdrivers, and they're also the most versatile. They have the most options available, and I'll show you guys what that all looks like and give you guys a rundown on their screwdrivers, so that way if you haven't ever picked any up, you know what you should and what you should not pick up. These are obviously insulated. Their regular screwdrivers are this black and green handle here. They do all have this design on them with this pattern, but the colors represent what the functionality it is and what it's made for. A couple of very unique things to do with the Wera screwdrivers themselves, though, are these tips. Now, as you can see here on this tip, there are some lines. It's laser etched. I thought this was gimmicky. I'll say it every time because I literally laughed out loud at this feature, but it works. Now, this comes on almost all of their screwdrivers, okay? Especially their basic ones and their VDE, the regular versions. It doesn't come on the slimline version, the VDE, okay? Now, that is one of the reasons why the regular screwdrivers that I carry around every day are not slimline. I don't carry the slimline. Really, one flathead and one number 2 square. And there's also no lines on their number 2 or number 1 square. That being said, the lines are phenomenal. So whether or not you like their regular screwdrivers or they're insulated, either one are gonna be a great option. They fit screws better than any other screwdriver that I've ever used. I say that having used almost every single quality brand of screwdriver that there is outside of PB Swiss. Now, the other thing is most of you guys are probably looking at this and being like, well, obviously I'm gonna get the regular screwdrivers. I'm not gonna pay all that money for the VDE. They're extremely inexpensive. The set that is non-insulated is close to $30-ish, and the insulated set, as of today, is somewhere in between $35 to $40 for like a full set, which is a number 1, number 2 square. It's a number 1, number 2 Phillips, and 2 sizes of flatheads, which is gonna be more than you need for anything. So either one of these sets is extremely affordable, you guys. They also have every type of screwdriver available that you need. I have all sizes of security Torx in their screwdrivers, because I just love the way that Wera screwdrivers work. They also aren't completely flat, okay? They're extremely ergonomic. They fit my hand very well. I love the design. It feels good. This green here is a softer rubber, and it's the same with the yellow on the VDE, but it's ergonomic. It's so ergonomic. It doesn't make sense that we have screwdrivers that aren't like this here in America. I actually drives me crazy, and I wish that we had a company that would make something similar to this, but we don't yet. It'll happen one day. Now, the other cool thing with this design is that it's got some anti-roll stuff. So obviously it rolls just like anything rolls, but it does stop. It doesn't just keep going because there are some flat sides here with the portion that actually makes contact with the ground. Ergonomic, fit screws well, they last, they're inexpensive, and there is variety. There's so much variety. There's stainless steel, there's legitimately everything. There's insulated, there's non-insulated, there's the slim line for all of them. And on top of that, they make the best beater, in my opinion, the best beater that exists, okay? This is my Wera chisel driver, and that's the thing about their beaters is that they're not even beaters. This is a chisel driver. It's meant to chisel. It's meant to be beat. It does have a striking cap on the back here on this end, which is metal. It's a pass-through shank. Again, the yellow is a soft rubber and the black is a harder plastic. This thing's been indestructible. I put this thing to work, and it's been good to me so far, and I've had no issues whatsoever. It's also got a hex shank, so you can put some more torque on it if you want to, but they make these things in all kinds of different sizes. I have a regular size chisel driver here that works absolutely amazingly, especially when I'm looking to only keep 2 screwdrivers and I'm not doing a bunch of finish work. I'll get rid of my everyday driver that is here and I'll put in this chisel driver instead, and it works great. It fits screws still, but I can beat on it and not have to worry about anything. They also clean up very well. As I said, these aren't my... they clean up extremely well. I actually get a hard time for this pretty often on social media because people see clean screwdrivers and they just assume that I don't use my tools. Now, it's beautiful that these are like probably 1.5 years, 2 years old, and they're worn, okay? There's a ton of stuff. If you held them in your hand, you would understand this isn't a new screwdriver. If you opened a package and this was a screwdriver that you had in there, you would be upset. Now, that being said, the colors are still there. I clean them pretty frequently and they're great, and that's all there is to it. And I have to clean my stuff. I work in factories or I work in offices, and you don't get to drag factory dust and debris and everything else into fancy offices. It doesn't work like that. But like I said, these 2 right here specifically are the ones that I use every day that stay in my pouch. And you can see there's little bumps in the insulation. Things are, you know, torn up and they're messed up. The insulation, some of the integrity's gone. And so these are not dedicated VDE drivers for me. I do not use them on hot work. I will use a dedicated set of drivers that has the insulation completely intact. I know there's no issues. It's good. But they're so inexpensive that having a second set for insulated work is like nothing, especially when it comes to my safety and my life. You guys, Wera screwdrivers, check them out. If you haven't, I promise you it's worth the buy. And they're different than what you see anywhere else. I've never seen another screwdriver like Wera, and most people, especially on most job sites, don't have anything like it. Number 2 are gonna be these Joker wrenches. Okay, these are my absolute favorite wrenches that exist. Now, these are some absolute special wrenches, you guys. I keep the 9/16 and the 7/16 in my bag at all times. They do have a 12-degree tilt for you to get into tight and confined spaces, which is absolutely great. And so these are the reversible kind. They do have kinds that are not reversible. This is just what I prefer. But even the details, like on the switch, you guys can see there's the little Wera design. It's here as well, but it's just little details like that that make it feel so fantastic. The ratcheting function on these are phenomenal. It sounds great, and all of Wera's, you'll see a lot more ratcheting things coming up here soon, but Wera just makes some absolutely phenomenal tools like that. But what makes these different than most wrenches is this front portion here. Now, as you can see from the back side, it has that more of a spline, the 12-point socket type of entry here, but on this side, it's just the regular 6-point. Now, this leads to something that's absolutely phenomenal. It's so functional, and it's that there is a hold function. With there being the 6 on this side and the 12 on this side, if you put it in one of the 12 slots on this side that doesn't come out the other side, it's a hold function, which makes it so much easier when you're in tight spaces, when you have limited hands. If you're trying to hold something up while you put a nut on, you don't want to lose it, all right? And especially if it's like something like a transformer or something where it's heavy or it's awkward or whatever it is, it makes it easier when you have tools that will hold on to that nut like this. So I have a small nut that we're gonna put through here, and obviously it's gotta be in the right way, but you guys can see it here, it's on there, and now I can push. I'm pushing my finger through, putting weight on there, and it's not moving at all because of the 6-point on the other side. Now, if we flip it over, it's still in there because of how tight the fit is, okay? This is not manipulated at all. Like, I actually, if you shake it, obviously it will come out, but it will not come out through the other side. Now, if we want to push it through the 6-point side, obviously we just have to go through, and it will go all the way through. There's also a 12-point on the ratcheting side, so that's cool. And they are all color coded. So you can see the green here is 1/2 inch. My 7/16 is blue. This one's starting to wear off. But whatever they're coated in, it's extremely, extremely great. I can't remember all of the details, but their coating is amazing. Like they'll last you and serve you for a long time. I've had these two in my bag for 3-ish years now, and I mean, they look like they've never been used. Obviously, there's some stuff rubbing off some color, but other than that, I mean, the actual material of the metal, the integrity of it's still intact and it looks great. They're just so functional, and they do come in a little case that I don't know where my case is right now because I keep them in bags separately. Great option from Wera. Now, number 3, this is the hex-plus Allen keys from Wera. A couple of things that make this different than a normal Allen key set. First of all, they're color coded, which I think is phenomenal. I like that they're color coded. It also opens up well the case. Once you push this green up, it opens up and you can see all of the nice color coded Allen keys. Now, the hex-plus part, that's the part that is so important because, as you guys know, especially stuff like I'm a service electrician, so I service existing buildings. I'm using old Allen, like typically these screws, whatever screws I'm using these Allen keys on are older. They've been taken out once or twice, or maybe they've been taken out a bunch. They've been moved around. And so keeping the integrity of those screws is really important. The hex-plus actually has a 20% higher torque rate than a typical Allen key because there's more surface area touching. Now, do I know all the science behind it? No, but I do know that these fit extremely well and they're extremely high quality. This is one of those tools that I thought, they're just Allen keys. How functional can they be? And Wera's made them more functional than anybody else has with the color coding. Obviously, the main point of any tool like this is to tighten or to loosen, and they fit better than most Allen keys do. Definitely one of the highest quality sets of Allen keys. Love the Allen keys from Wera. These little guys here are some of the my favorites. These are screw holders, okay? Now there's 2 sizes. The yellow is for bigger shafts. The red is for smaller shafts. Now what that means is for like our uninsulated screwdriver, it'll take the red, and the insulated will take this yellow, and it just slips over your screwdriver and it stays on there. Now the reason why I like these so much is because they're versatile. You can put them on any screwdriver that you want to. That means when you need a random number 1 square with a bit holder on there, you can put it on there and it'll hold it just tight. Now, the other beautiful thing about this is that there's 2 sizes, so you can put them on any blade that you want. And basically, it holds the screwdriver in there, and as you tighten, it pops through and it just connects to whatever. This is great for when you can't reach something in a cabinet or wherever it is. You have to hold something up. You only have one hand and it's tight. These will just save you that frustration of trying to figure it out, trying to get everything just perfectly, and it'll actually give you a little bit of help here. I've got a screw in here now, and you just tighten it, pull it back enough to the point where it's got tension on there, but it's not falling out. As you tighten it, it goes further and further in, and then once it's passed, it will just let go. And obviously it will be threaded in at that point, so it won't go flying, but it just makes it so easy when you can't reach stuff. You guys, these Wera screw holders are a must, and they're very, very inexpensive, especially for what you get. Now, this is another super popular option, and this is actually one that I've been carrying every day for a little bit now. This is a Wera bit check, and I've actually been keeping this in my pouch with my impact because this has everything that I need as far as bits go. You can see the 2 rows here, and the top one moves, so you can actually get your finger in there to grab the first or the back row, which is like functionality that you didn't know you needed. It holds the bit holder down here, so it really stays out of the way. But this has become an excellent option for me to just keep in my pouch with my impact. That way, I have every bit that I need, and it's all in the form of this little case here. They make a bunch of these different bit cases, but this is the one that I carry, and you guys can customize them and get whatever bits you want to put in there, whatever you use the most of. Like right now, I've got a bunch of Torx security bits in here. Not only that for work, but if I'm going to do some random project, especially furniture, I feel like I help people put together furniture every week. I bring this because this has everything that I need, and I don't have to worry about not having the right screw or whatever it is for these random things that are made in China. They also have a style that has the actual sockets on top, and their sockets are fantastic. I'll show you guys some of those later. They're not actually on the list. It's one of the bonus items. But this bit check here especially is one of the less expensive ones. It's very, very affordable, and I like the compactness. The bits come out really easy. I don't love the typical Milwaukee bit holders. They're not ergonomic. They're not like you can't actually use them, especially not to carry them around with you. But this can slide in my pouch every day and go wherever with me, and it is not a bother. Now this next one is going to be so specific. Okay, I promise we're going to get to some less electrician specific stuff, but this thing has come in handy for me a few times. It's never fun to use this because it's usually in a bad situation, but tightening up lugs, it's come in handy, right? Especially when you work on homes, and in order to shut the power off, you have to have the power company out. And so like a couple months ago, there was a panel, somebody had their panel that was like, it was like smoking. They were, having issues with it. We did a scan on it, saw, you could see actually where it was getting hot at, and we tightened that lug. I'm not doing that without the proper gear, I promise you, especially not with a panel that's already arcing. And this thing here is the thing that I used that for. And this is probably the only thing that I would have used on that, maybe a T handle that was insulated. But stuff like this that is so user specific, but if they didn't make it, I don't know whose I would use, because I don't trust just anybody, especially not with live stuff like this, where if it's not insulated, I'm dead. The ratcheting function on this is phenomenal. You can see the push button out here to release the sockets, and then there is it goes both ways, and it also sits in the middle. It does have a hold function on it, but everything on this is phenomenal. It's extremely ergonomic. The red is a softer rubber, and the yellow is a harder plastic. It's ergonomic as you could ever get. I do love this thing. It's my baby. I protect it with all my life because it protects me when I need it, and I hope I don't need it anytime soon. Now, last on our original list, but definitely not least, one of the most versatile tools in my tool bag, it's the Wera Cyclops. Now, this thing, whatever you think it does 4 times as much, okay? So if we pull this little green thing down, we can see that the head rotates, and on the end of it is a square and a bit holder, okay? So this thing not only takes sockets, right, over top 3/8 sockets, but you can also put 1/4 inch bits in here. So if we take our bit check out, we can actually have a flat head at any angle, okay? So we can have a flat head at 90, we can have a flat head at whatever degree this is, or straight on. It's also ratcheting, and in order to turn the direction of the ratchet, you just have to move this little green dial, and there it goes. The only issue with this is that there is no middle function. You can't use this as a typical screwdriver, which I don't love that part about it. Honestly, other than that, this thing is perfect. So like I said, you can put a bit in there or a socket. Now what the bit does is, and what this has replaced for me, is a stubby. So now you only need this much clearance, and it's so much easier to get leverage on there, especially with those stubbies when you're just, you can barely get a grip on it. Your hand, there's not a ton of space. This allows you to use so much more. You can get way more torque on this, and it's just easier, okay? And there's 2 angles, and you can just do it straight. So, and it's ratcheting, so you don't have to readjust every time. It's just great. The handle is very ergonomic. It is a little bit bigger, but that's because it pops out and it holds all of these bits. You guys know how this onboard storage, I believe it's 12 or 14 bits on this thing here, but you can customize it to hold whatever bits you want. So that way, if you're in the field, you can put a bit holder on this thing here, and you can put a longer bit holder than this on there, but it turns it into a full length screwdriver, and you have now every bit that you could need held just right in here. That is insanely usable, all packed into one little tool right here that fits in your hand, and it can just carry out so many different tasks. Now this tool right here is a combination of their multi-driver, which I'll give you a rundown on this one real quick, because these are also great options. So you just extend out by pushing down this little green thing. You push it down to push it back in. You can also take it completely out. So if you want to put this in an impact, you can, or if you want a slimmer bit in there, you can. Now, if you press the green button on the end, it pops out more towards the middle, not the back. It holds 6 different bits in there and 1 in the tip, so 7 total for this. But if you want to put this in here, obviously you can put it in the front here. It's held on by a magnet for the Cyclops, which it's not like obviously going to be as strong as a bit locking system, but it is pretty in there. And obviously with a bit versus with an extender, there's going to be more hold on there. This is also significantly less expensive than the Cyclops. So that is also another thing that's kind of up in the air for you if that's an issue. This one here, I believe, is in the 30s. The Cyclops is somewhere close to 100, above 100, I believe. But the Cyclops is a combination of this and the original Cyclops. Now this is a 1/4 inch Cyclops here, but it is just a ratchet. So it has all of those functions, except that the handle doesn't have any bits in it and there is no bit holder on the front. Now this Cyclops ratchet is also expensive because that's the expensive part of the Cyclops, but it does do all of the same things as far as the head direction. It can go 90, it can go to an angle, it can go straight, and then it can also go all the way backwards and flip around. Now, I love the handles on these. They're my favorite ratchet handles. Extremely ergonomic. This black portion here actually turns so you can put it on there and hold it, which I like that they give you the possibility to do that, and that it goes forward as well. It just makes it like a screwdriver or a nut driver or whatever. It makes hard places to reach easier to reach, and that's what I want my life to be about, reaching hard places easily. And I actually keep this inside of this little case here. Most of their tools come with these cases or some sort of storage option or whatever. This storage case is actually from this multi-driver, but I keep my Cyclops in there and a couple of 1/4 inch sockets. Their 1/4 inch sockets are absolutely phenomenal. They are all color coded. If we look at our 3/8 here, it is red. This little case Velcros shut, and then on the back there's Velcro on this, and there's also a belt loop, but it also comes with a little sheet of Velcro so you can put it up somewhere and stick it to something if you like that. Now, I did just show 8 tools from Gennard that were absolutely phenomenal for electricians. So if you're an electrician, go check this out. Remember, it's all for his glory, and I'll see you guys on the next one.